Forecast review, Saturday the 27th, 10 a.m. This is looking at Sunday 28th at 1 p.m. Not a huge attraction in those stars. That's a significant weather, a lot of cloud and spread out. And that's the surface wind, which looks pretty much blown out most places. Things a bit more promising on the UKV thermic perspective. Yes, there is some spread out in Midlands and east of, but in Wales that seems okay. Surface winds are west-southwesterly, and there might be some patches in Wales that are not blown out, but it does look pretty strong. RASP, I would say, bears some relation to UKV in terms of the thermic air mass. And those surface winds are also west-southwest, and they are, 16 knots is 32 kilometres an hour roughly, so that looks blown out. Monday, 1 p.m, you've got 4 stars across large parts of the country. Surface winds are launchable south of the Dales. Significant weather shows a fair amount of cloud around, but not spreading out too much. This is at midday. So it looks like a good day, and we will look at that in some more detail. UKV shows some more spread out, particularly around the Peak District, but south of Birmingham it seems to be clear. Surface winds look perfectly launchable, broadly westerly. RASP at 1 o'clock, 4 and 5 stars across the bulk of UK, south of M62. Surface winds launchable westerly. Tuesday 30th, we've got 4 stars and patches of 5 stars across large parts of the UK. Surface winds look fairly brisk, southwesterly, becoming southerly in the Peak District, and looks like they're blown out over Wales. UKV thinks there's going to be lots of spread out across the country other than the very far southeast. The winds southwesterly. Looks strong but launchable in most places, other than that band of green you can see from North Wales extending through Birmingham and southwest Wales. RASP has got a big block of 4 and 5 stars across the bulk of England, south of the M62 and east of Wales. Winds southwest, looks blown out throughout Wales, all of southern England, and probably even the Peak District. Wednesday the 1st of July, you've got 4 and 5 stars across central and southern England. We've got light winds throughout the country. We've got some strong-ish westerlies on the west of Wales, and it eases as you come to sort of the centre spine of England, still westerly, and then from the east coast you've got easterlies coming in there. None of them look particularly strong. With the winds coming in from opposite directions, you'd expect a real line of convergence along the spine, the centre of England. This is the convergence view. It's maybe not quite as clear as I'd seen, but you can see a line that runs from the northwest to the southeast, showing that. UKV suggesting that there's going to be lots of spread out throughout the country. The surface winds look actually too strong to the west of Birmingham, lighter in the east. But we don't see that pattern that we saw on SkySight, where there was a breeze from the east coming from the east coast, other than right at the coast itself, which was standard practice. RASP is showing 4 and 5 stars across the bulk of central and southern England, with a bias towards the east side. RASP showing 4 and 5 stars throughout England, south of the M62 and east of the Welsh border. And the surface wind is launchable northwesterly. Thursday the 2nd of July, it is very much blown out, no point looking at anything else. UKV doesn't fully agree with that. It's west-southwest and probably is blown out north of the M62, but there might be the south of the country that is flyable. RASP thinks it's blown out northwesterly. Friday you've got some decent thermic air mass, 4 and 5 stars, south of Stoke, I would say, and excluding Wales. Returning to Monday the 29th, wound the clock back to 10 just to see how the day develops. And I'll zoom in because there's no point us looking at the north of England. So this is at 10. Let's move the clock forward. So at 11. And the surface winds are almost due west. And the winds at 3,000 feet are the same, almost due west. And they're within launchable parameters. With that wind strength, you were obviously looking at a downwind rather than a circuit flight. Well, I'll just track it through the day to make sure. Yeah, they're too strong to be doing a circuit. Airspace is a key consideration. You've basically got to go between Birmingham, East Midlands and Greater London. You've got to go through that gap, or you've got to go north of that and south of the Manchester, Leeds, Bradford airspace. So one of the sites around the Worcester Beacon, Glangorse, Galway, one of those is the one that springs to mind. There are also the Mid Wales and Shropshire westerlies like the Longmynd, Llandinam, but then you've got more challenge with airspace navigation. This is the stars at 11. And the significant weather showing a fair bit of cloud coverage, but not spread out in the areas that we would be targeting. So at 11:30, Worcester Beacon is just on the edge of 3 and 4 stars. Should be scattered cumulus with a base upwards of 4,000 feet. Galway is also in that 4 stars with similar cloud coverage and cloud base. And UKV concurs about Malverns being in the scattered cumulus with a decent cloud base. I think Galway is probably just on some edges some spread out. In RASP at 11, Malverns is 3 stars, as is Galway, and then they're both 4 stars at midday. Cloud base is around 4 to 4,500 feet for both, maybe a little bit higher at Galway. This is the GFS pure downwind route from Worcester Beacon, so you've got to do a reasonable amount of crosswinding to stay north of the London airspaces. That's the numbers for the wind. None of those are challenging really. UKV's pure downwind route requires much less crosswinding, and those numbers are a little bit stronger, but nothing too daunting there either. GFS downwind route from Galway, and the numbers, UKV, and the UKV numbers. We'll just step through the day to see how the stars align, and 1 o'clock to mid-afternoon, 5 o'clock still really good, 6 is when we seem to meet the sea breeze, and the sea breeze has come in as far as Bury St Edmunds, it seems. So with that sea breeze coming in quite a long way, you might be tempted to start further west, i.e. from Galway. So this is a route from Galway adjusted to clear the airspace. but at the back end of the day you're further inland than you are if you set off from the Worcester Beacon. Still in very good air at 6 o'clock at Cambridge, so I think you would get a longer day if you set off from Galway. I've just switched it to the surface winds, and that shows you the sea breeze just at Bury St Edmunds. So going from Worcester Beacon at 6 o'clock, you should be at Bury St Edmunds, which is the edge of the sea breeze pushing in. You can see that on the surface wind, so getting much further than Bury St Edmunds might be difficult. And it's just short of 210 kilometres getting there. From Galway at 6 you would still be in some really good air, and then at 7 I think you could plan to be flying until 7. But the very last bit of it would be pushing into that sea breeze, so that might not be the best choice of a goal. Perhaps Newmarket rather than Bury St Edmunds. Newmarket for roughly 225.